Obtaining 10x rewards. Reincarnated into a novel as a side character. By Winterdragon_1. The threads pulsed faintly, like veins pumping corrupted blood. It was as if these were acting as strings, controlling the people like puppets and keeping the illusion from crumbling into pieces. Oliver followed those threads with his eyes, slowly untangling them through his superior sight. Despite the web-like tangled structure, he was able to separate them one by one. With each thread he followed, the air seemed to press closer, thick and suffocating. Something powerful was watching, waiting. The sensation lingered at the edge of his mind, a cold whisper, brushing against his thoughts like icy fingertips. Measuring them, he traced the threads to their roots, slowly following the direction from which they seemed to emerge. Tap. 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 The village remained silent as they walked toward the source of the Aspera threads. The cobbled streets seemed quieter than before, the air unnervingly still. Even the occasional whispers of villagers had faded away. Just like that, Oliver finally noticed it. An ordinary village house, seemingly inconspicuous among the other houses. At first glance, there seemed to be nothing special about it. However, he was different, he could see what others could not. What he saw was a terrifying mass of dark Aspera gathering around the house. It was suppressed and sharp. Just sensing it sent chills down his spine. The energy twisted and churned, thick and oily, like smoke rising from a smoldering corpse. He closed his eyes and looked beside him at Agnes. After a moment of thought, he shared his decision. "Agnes, you." He paused and looked around. There was no one in sight, all he could see were empty surroundings. The silence gnawed at him, unnatural in its depth. "Teacher, what's the matter?" Agnes asked as she followed his line of sight, seeing no one there. "I am thinking of letting you stay here. The danger ahead is not something simple. I cannot guarantee your safety while navigating through it. What do you think?" He sought her opinion, wanting to see how she would react in such a situation. Would she choose to stay with him or take a more rational path? Agnes fell silent, contemplating rationally and using logic. In the end, she agreed with his decision and nodded. "I will stay back then, teacher." She was acutely aware of how powerless she was compared to him, and if there was something he did not feel confident dealing with, she would support him by not being a burden. It was better to do nothing and wait rather than become his burden, risking both their lives simultaneously. Still, her fingers curled slightly, betraying her frustration. Oliver smirked. It was a test of sorts, to judge her decisiveness. Agnes had always been one to think ahead, from leading other slaves in the city to using the talisman when he was battling Sarah. She was a natural-born leader. He felt relieved that he was not babysitting her. She was mentally mature, the grueling life she had lived had shaped her. Yet a faint worry lingered. If anything, Oliver might even believe that Agnes had the protagonist template. Not only was she not broken by the demonic tyranny, but her spirit was ignited even further, fueling her desire for freedom and to lead her kind to a better future. To assure her further, he advised her not to worry too much. "I will make sure you can hide well. Don't trust any villager under any circumstance, and don't reveal your face either. Remember this, no matter what, don't ever trust them." His voice sharpened at the end, firm and urgent. He spoke in a grave tone, concerned that her naive and laid-back nature around demons could lead to deception. He repeatedly warned her. "I understand." Agnes seriously obeyed. If her teacher was emphasizing something repeatedly, she would be foolish not to listen and do as he asked. She trusted him with her life, and her faith was unwavering. She would not trust or listen to the words of the villagers. "Thanks." Oliver patted her and made arrangements for her to remain discreet. As long as he willed it, he was confident she wouldn't be discovered by anyone. Still, a sense of unease twisted in his chest. Something felt wrong, off. After all, he was capable of achieving such. He did not waste time and sped toward the source of it all. _________________________________________________________________________________________________________________ The closer he got to the house, the heavier the atmosphere felt. By the time he reached the door, the dark aspera was as abundant as air. He couldn't even feel a trace of normal pure aspera in the surroundings. It was as if the whole air was filled with dark aspera, and the little bit of pure aspera was devoured by the dark aspera. The pressure pressed against his chest like a vice, tightening with every breath. It was a nauseating feeling for an exorcist like himself. He felt an inherent repulsion to the energy present in the atmosphere. I have never felt such thick and potent dark aspera before. He remembered that even Sarah's aura was not this dense, which made his brows tense even more. If the opponent inside was stronger than Sarah, was he doing the right thing by venturing further into this dangerous den? But he was trapped. The village had blocked everything from the outside world, as if they were completely cut off. It was as if the demon lands where he was and this village were two separate dimensions. His hand stretched toward the cottage's door, each second felt heavier than the last. His fingers tingled, as if static crawled beneath his skin. It was as if the closer his hand reached the doorknob, the more the effect of gravity increased. However, he didn't care, all he felt was a slight weight. His strength was abnormal, simple pressure wouldn't affect him. Click. Oliver twisted the knob, and the door slowly started to open. What was revealed was endless darkness behind that ordinary door. A wave of frigid air slithered out, chilling him to the bone. Whom? The darkness inside erupted, as if a dam containing it had been opened. Like a tidal wave, it burst forward, the pressure, the intensity, everything was suffocatingly strong. It slammed into him like a wall of icy sludge, sticking to his skin and seeping into his bones. Oliver was instantly engulfed in the darkness, leaving nothing behind. Chapter 292. Opening his eyes, he was greeted by a dark space, nothing but blackness stretched all around. The air smelled stale, dry, and empty, as though no living thing had drawn breath here for centuries. This place reminded him of the partial spirit summoning space conducted by Sigfur. But what made this space special compared to the spirit space was the mirror-like ground beneath his feet, where a clear reflection of himself was visible. The reflection's eyes seemed wrong. Darker. Sharper. He looked around but saw nothing. The connection to the real world was completely severed. Somewhere in the distance, faint footsteps echoed, slow, deliberate, approaching. Each step sent a ripple through the mirrored surface beneath him, distorting his reflection into something twisted and unfamiliar. Huh. He sighed ruefully, not knowing what to do. In a situation like this, he should have panicked first and foremost, like any normal human being. But he had grown so accustomed to darkness that it didn't bother him as much as he had expected. Perhaps he was a little worried about escaping. How should he leave this place? Or, was he supposed to stay? Tick tick tick. He walked on the mirror floor in a calm manner, unfazed by his surroundings. It was as if he were simply taking an evening stroll. Time passed, and he slowly lost track of it. He kept walking with his hands behind his back, his mind in a state of deep concentration, thinking about different things. At some point, the darkness shifted. And then, visions started appearing in his mind once again. In the memory, he saw a young demon boy from a small village, constantly threatened by dangerous demonic beasts and malicious entities. People from his village lost their lives whenever they went hunting or traveled. The villagers lived in constant fear, never venturing out unless absolutely necessary. This led to the village becoming desolate, food was scarce, children starved daily, there was no clean water, and the clothes they wore were insufficient to protect them from the chilling cold of the night. Thin, malnourished bodies huddled together for warmth. Hollow eyes stared at the horizon, waiting for death instead of salvation. The growls and howls of beasts echoed from time to time, making every soul in the village beg for their lives. The boy saw all this suffering and questioned himself, what was the reason behind it? Why did his kin suffer? Why did they lose their lives? Why didn't they fight back against the demonic beasts? Why didn't they kill? And then, he realized. They were weak. They had no strength. They were cowards. But wasn't he one of them? Was he not the same? Had he not lived in the village, fearing those demonic beasts just like the others? So then, what was the difference? Why wasn't he venturing out? That was when he understood, he was shackled. Not physically, but mentally. He had been confined to the same fear-driven mindset as the rest of the villagers. Never leaving the village out of fear. But he was not the same. He could not live like this. He was not prey. That day, his shackles shattered. In the days that followed, the demon boy fearlessly left the village, despite the scorn of the villagers and the countless rumors of the beast's brutality. Despite all of it, he didn't listen. He went ahead. What followed was a bloody carnage. When he returned, he was wounded and torn, barely able to walk straight. Claw marks dug into his flesh. Blood soaked his tattered clothes. But the villagers who saw him did not criticize. They couldn't. Because he was dragging behind him the corpse of one of those terrifying demonic beasts. The next day, he left again. This time, he returned with 2 corpses and threw them at the village entrance. The bodies were barely recognizable, mangled, shredded, bones peeking through torn flesh. Every day, he left at dawn and returned by evening, dragging the carcasses of the beasts he had slain, each riddled with brutal injuries. The sheer cruelty of his hunts was evident in the gruesome wounds on the beasts' bodies. By now, a small hill of corpses had formed at the village entrance. The stench of death clung to the air, a warning to any who dared challenge him. The boy was growing stronger with each passing day. The more he fought, the more powerful he became. Each day, the hunt continued. Each day, he returned, stronger, deadlier. A hill of corpses rose at the village entrance. Fear turned to awe. Awe turned to inspiration. Others followed. Soon, the village was no longer prey. Seeing this, the villagers who once feared the mighty demonic beasts slowly began to follow in the boy's footsteps. At first, they merely watched. He would kill the beasts mercilessly, and they would stand in awe, stunned at how a boy could so easily defeat such terrifying creatures. Slowly but surely, their fear faded. They started joining him. They fought alongside him. The once cringing villagers became warriors. Their blades gleamed with the blood of their former predators. Mountains of corpses began appearing in the forests surrounding the village. The boy was crowned the village leader for both his strength and courage. The village that had once lived in fear now actively hunted the very beasts that had once plagued them. Within weeks, the entire forest was cleared, no demonic beast in sight. The forest, once a domain of terror, had been turned into a graveyard. Then, the vision flickered. What followed next was the rise of a king. The boy was no longer a child. He had grown into a formidable young man, his body a tapestry of scars earned from countless battles. He stood atop a hill, gazing over the lands he had claimed. The village he once protected had swelled into a thriving city. His people no longer cowered. They stood tall under his rule. Yet, his hunger for power burned brighter than ever. Chapter 293. His hands, once calloused from desperate battles, now gripped the hilt of a blade stained with the blood of not just beasts but rivals. He raised a clawed hand, and an army rallied behind him, not just villagers now, but warriors from neighboring territories he had conquered. His eyes blazed with a fierce, unyielding ambition, his presence alone inspired both reverence and terror. The vision flickered again, revealing glimpses of his campaigns, brutal clashes against rival demon lords, blood-soaked battlefields, and the cries of the vanquished. Each victory fed his legend, his name whispered in both awe and fear across the lands. He was relentless. His strategies were sharp as a blade. His strength was a force of nature. Cities fell. His dominion expanded. Demons, beasts, and even darker creatures were drawn into his ranks. And yet, the hunger in his eyes never faded. His conquest had only just begun. Time blurred in the vision, war and bloodshed blending together like an eternal storm. He stood before a vast assembly of his followers, clad in armor forged from the hides of the mightiest beasts he had slain, his eyes glowing with an unearthly fire. Today, he declared, his voice a thunderous roar that shook the ground, a voice no longer entirely mortal, I transcend mortality. I am no longer just your leader, I am your God. The God of war, who will lead you to conquer all that exists. The crowd erupted, their cheers a deafening tide of devotion. Their worship was absolute, their faith a wildfire consuming all doubt. Temples rose in his honor, their altars stained with the blood of sacrifices offered to appease him. He sat upon a throne of bones, his gaze fixed on a world he intended to claim as his own. All of it was going extremely well, very smoothly, everything was in his favor, the world bowing before him. Until one day, he sought to claim the entire demon world as his own. He aimed to suppress everyone across the demon lands. He would not be a mere conqueror. He would be absolute. He wanted every demon to become his subordinate, to worship him as their god, to become the most revered and feared entity across all lands. He aspired to be the next demon god. But ambition, unchecked, is a blade that cuts both ways. In his endless pursuit of power, he meddled with forces he was not prepared for. Entities that had remained hidden since ancient times emerged, the King of Shadows, the Empress of Blood, the Devourer, and many more catastrophes, each entity surpassing the other. They had watched in silence. And now, they moved. It was also then revealed that there were demons of such unfathomable strength existing. They were identified as apocalyptic class by the exorcist union of that time, that is, equivalent to a rank 6 exorcist. Such entities could be counted on one hand, given their rarity. However, the war demon in the scene was not one to back down now. He fought relentlessly against the King of Shadows, the entire battlefield was dyed pitch black, all his attacks absorbed, it was as if he was fighting in air. Against the Empress of Blood, the battle was almost never-ending, the blood of his fallen soldiers fueled her growth and power, making her stronger the more they fought. With every drop spilled, her laughter grew louder, echoing through the battlefield like a cursed melody. Not to mention the Devourer, who caused irreversible destruction to him and his armies. But he still felt it was manageable so long as he kept getting stronger. Yet he knew he was not their match, they were simply too strong for him to keep up. And in the end, what broke him was the unexpected betrayal from his closest generals. He had trusted them. Bound them by blood and war. And yet, they turned their blades on him. He could not believe it. The demons with whom he had formed pacts, who had accompanied him throughout his journey to the top, the generals who acted as his limbs, betrayed him? His left-hand commander was the first to strike, driving a blade through his back as he stood atop the ruined battlefield. His right-hand general followed, whispering words of regret, yet still twisting the dagger. He felt his entire life had been a bitter truth at that point. Not power. Not faith. Not loyalty. And the vision suddenly ended there. Underscore. Oliver blinked and found himself back in the dark space. Was that the life of the demon they worship? He felt he understood some things better now. After watching the scenes, he concluded that these villagers were the followers of that demon king, they worshipped him like a god. He was a god of war to his followers. This village was a village of undead, these people were dead but were forcefully kept alive, or at least in an illusionary space where they believed they were alive. In reality, it was just a village of undead. The demon king was dead, but his consciousness still lingered in this world. He had created this village in memory of his loyal followers, a last link to him, a final mark he had left on this world. And this space where he was trapped was the center of it, the thing that was keeping this village intact. A prison of devotion, Oliver muttered. And I've walked straight into it. Underscore. Are you lost, kid? A voice suddenly sounded from behind. Oliver turned rapidly in the blink of an eye, only to see the same demon king who was once feared as the god of war in the demon land centuries ago. Except, he looked different now. Younger. Unscarred by the war, as though time itself had been rewound. He had the appearance of his youth, when he was just beginning his conquest. But even then, his face bore a long scar stretching across his left cheek. Oliver remembered from the visions that it was given to him by a dangerous demon beast. The demon was now suddenly before him and was speaking to him. Chapter 294. Wasn't he dead? Oliver felt confused. If this demon was dead, then how was he able to talk to him? Nevertheless, he remained cautious. He could not sense when this demon had come up behind him. No presence. No aura. Just there. It was like the air itself had birthed him, quiet, seamless, and impossibly still. What's the matter? Why aren't you speaking? The Demon King tilted his head as if confused, awaiting a reply. Oliver maintained his calm and replied, "Yes, I am. Let me out of this space." The Demon King was silent for a moment before saying something chilling. His smile was calm, but his eyes were ancient. Not just old, burdened with the weight of centuries, pain, victories, and betrayals. "You, a human, why are you demanding the impossible?" The Demon King stated it as a matter of fact before adding, "In the first place, what is a human doing in the demon lands?" Oliver felt cold inside. His identity was seen through in a flash. The little bit of disguise he had used surely did not work on the Demon King himself. In fact, if it had, then Oliver would have only looked down on him. Oliver slowly lifted the hood of his cloak, revealing his face. Black hair and calm blue eyes were revealed. No horns, no demonic scent, nothing. He was as human as he could be. The Demon King raised a brow at him, his nose wrinkling slightly as if he smelled something strong. This scent, it's unmistakable." The demonic man stepped a bit closer, smelling the air. "It's been centuries, but I can still recognize this repulsive stench. You are the blood of that accursed clan, aren't you?" This time Oliver stood still, as if frozen on the spot. The fact that the Demon King could even tell his real identity just from his scent raised countless questions. His mind raced. How many others could do this? How many already had? It was clear as day that the Demon King had encountered the Mystic Purge clan multiple times for him to be able to remember this so vividly. For the Demon King to be able to identify his true identity just from his scent was crazy. Did that mean that other powerful demons could also tell this? If so, what level of power was the threshold? How many encounters must such demons have had with the Mystic Purge clan to be able to sense it? He remembered Sarah, someone at rank 4 was not able to identify him at all, so it was definitely above that. And on second thought, to be able to identify Mystic Purge clan members from their scent, a demon must have survived battles against them. And the exorcists from his clan were not a joke, they were ridiculous, in their own league, miles apart from the common exorcists. And a demon surviving after meeting such exorcists was definitely someone dangerous. The Demon King before him was definitely one such demon. Oliver said nothing. No denial. No confirmation. Only silence. But that silence screamed louder than any truth. The Demon King's grin twisted unnaturally, curling into something that belonged on a corpse rather than a face. 843. But your clan's signature features, where are they? His eyes flicked to Oliver's hair. Black? It should be white. That stench, you're no adopted orphan. That rot clings to your blood. You're a pure blood. So tell me. He leaned in, whispering now, why does your hair lie? A beat passed. Then a tilt of the head. A smile that split too wide. Wait, did you dye it? A shriek of laughter burst from him, harsh and echoing like bones snapping in the dark. Ha! Clever little rat. Sneaking into demon lands under disguise, hiding your scent, your truth. You didn't come here by chance. You planned this. He was relentless. Like a blade honed on the bones of exorcists, he sliced through pretenses with chilling precision. It was like standing before a mirror that not only reflected your image but your soul. Although he wasn't exactly on a covert operation but simply got teleported to this place, the fact remained true nonetheless that he was here secretly and was hiding his true identity. Oliver's expression didn't waver. But the Demon King wasn't looking at faces. He was looking through souls. The Demon King looked at his face, his dark eyes scrutinizing Oliver deeply. It was terrifyingly creepy, as if the Demon King was able to see him naked. His stare felt like fingers peeling back layers of skin, searching for something buried beneath. However, just a moment must have passed when it happened. His laughter stopped. Just like that. He stared. And then? Impossible. And Oliver? He smiled. Just a little. Barely there. But it sent a chill through the hall of darkness. Because that smile wasn't human. It belonged to the abyss. Older than kings. Deeper than time. Beyond death. Even Ophelia couldn't scan him. What hope did this broken relic of a Demon King have? As long as he intended, even the demon's ancestors wouldn't be able to see his true strength. You, just what the hell are you? His voice cracked under the weight of his own question. I am sure. You definitely belong to those lunatics. What have they birthed? You are no human. The Demon King shouted to himself, as if he was seeing something that others could not. His voice cracked with a mix of fear and rage, a warlord unraveling. Oliver looked at the fanatic Demon King with eyes colder than frost. Since the cat was out of the bag, there was no need to hide. The Demon King here, or the remnant of his soul, served only one purpose, to become nourishment.